Okay, members of the media, we're now joined by West Virginia basketball coach Bob Huggins. Our first question, Coach Huggins, comes from Greg Hunter.
So, Bob, start with Kansas. How good are they?
Really good. Probably two of the best perimeter guys in the country. At least two, maybe more than two. But they're good. They make shots. They penetrate. They're defensively they're pretty good.
Our next question comes from, please use the raise hand feature for our question with Coach Huggins. I don't have any hands in the mix right now. Our next question, Coach, comes from Greg Carey.
Bob, Remy Martin didn't play the other night. Does that affect preparation at all? Any idea what his status is for tomorrow, and how has he kind of changed their team when he has played this year?
We don't have any idea. Don't have any idea if he'll play, how much he'll play, or whatever. We've just been concentrating on the guys that have played the last few games. We'll deal with that if he comes in the game.
Kevin Kinder.
Following up on Greg's question with that, then, obviously you're looking at the guys that you've seen before, but you've got a history, about some of those other guys. Is that like a plan B or next step thing on the game plan? So your guys are at least aware, hey, we might see this player or these players in this game.
Well, obviously in the scouting report, we don't just run through some plays. I mean, personnel's important. They've watched film on everybody who's gotten the game. So if it's a surprise to them, they fell asleep during film.
John Antonek.
McCormick, what do you see? They didn't play much. Well, he didn't start the last game. What do you see from McCormick?
He's a force. I mean, he's probably the best rim protector in our league. I think his offense has gotten better and better the longer that that he's been there. He's a really talented guy. I mean, he's a guy that'll play for a long time.
Probably a question for Bill Self, but I'll ask you: do you think they sized down a little bit to match what Iowa State did, maybe with the way they played, at least who they started?
And I don't have any way of knowing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Bill's pretty good at what he does, so I think he probably knew what he was doing.
Back to Greg Hunter.
Bob, obviously, Jalen had a very good game last time out. So what have you seen from him and his progress? I mean, he's had, some ups and downs this year, but do you think the ups are going to be more prevalent?
Greg, everybody's had ups and downs. Sean and Taz have had ups and downs. I mean, I think that's part of what happens. And then that's why it's important you have other people to kind of, pick up what they weren't able to do that particular game. But no, I mean, JB's been really good. I mean, he's as coachable a guy as you're ever going to be around. He struggled with his shot early. He struggled a little bit early. He's got it straightened out again now. But he's a guy who can do a lot of things and can play a lot of positions for us. He's probably the most versatile guy we got.
He said that he didn't feel his shot was real good the other day, but he just took the ball to the basket, got fouled a lot. Is that just sort of the growth experience, learning that if one thing's not working, turn to something else?
Yeah, well, I said this before. He said, his dad did a great job with him as a kid. He wasn't one of those guys that just went out and shot the ball. Corey did a great job with him in terms of what was ahead for him and the versatility that he has. I mean, he's got great versatility, and that's because somebody worked with him. That somebody's his father. So. All I did was try to accentuate the things that he really probably already knew. And if a guy turns his head and he's not guarding you, you might as well cut to the basket, right? That's pretty simple.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, when you're looking at Abaji this season as compared to, obviously, he's been there 4 years. Is he a guy that's basically just shooting the three ball a lot better this year than he has in the past? I mean, what else are you seeing in his game that maybe he hasn't done in the past?
Well, I think he's probably using his athleticism probably a little bit more. He's a heck of an athlete, and I think he's got a little more versatility. I think he shot, kind of was behind the line more the last few years than what he is now. I mean, now he's a great guy at attacking the rim. He's a big time shot maker.
And when you look at, I don't know, I guess there's always all kinds of different angles going into games, but I mean, he's the leading scorer in the league. Taz is right behind him. Does Taz care if he's, if he finishes as, the league's leading scorer? I mean, does Taz, strike you as a guy that stuff matters to him?
No, I don't think it does.
Okay.
He and Gabe are unquestionably our leaders. And you're not a very good leader if you're selfish. And he certainly is not that. He just wants to win. I don't think he could care less about who leads the league in scoring.
Thank you, Coach.
Our next question comes from Bob Hertzel.
Yes, sir. Bob, you've played in a lot of buildings in your career. What makes this building that special? Why is it that tough to play there? And what would they be like on a neutral court? Would they be, how many points different would that make?
Well, I think what sets a building apart is 17,000 people, and it's 17,000 people no matter who they play. It's an older, unique building. You don't get to play in places like that very often. There's not a whole lot of buildings like that are as preserved as what Allen Fieldhouse is. I don't know, Bob, we've had our chances. We've had our chances. We've played pretty well there at times, and then things have a way of happening.
Back to Kevin Kinder.
Coach, after the Kansas State game, you mentioned a couple of your bigs, maybe testing the limits a little bit of what you were willing to tolerate. They had lower minutes. And then you had another one against Oklahoma State, I think just had a couple minutes of play. Was that a continuation of that issue, or was that a matchup thing? And where are your two bigs, Damon and Pauly, right now, in terms of, getting back in the lineup?
Well, Pauly played down the stretch. I don't know if it's a matter of getting Pauly back in the lineup. He played a bunch down the stretch. I think we were before, I think, using more of DC's abilities than what we have of late, but we're trying to get offense on the floor. You try to get defense on the floor. And a lot of times guys don't give you both. They give you one pretty good, pretty strong effort. And then the other, they're not quite as good at. So we're just trying to win, man, and that's what I, continue to tell them. The one thing I've learned in 40 years of doing this is when you win, everybody gets a lot of credit. And the best way to lose is have a couple guys pop their head out there and say, by God, this is us. We're doing all this, and the other guys aren't doing anything. And then pretty soon the other guys don't do anything. We don't have that. We've got a great bunch of guys that they like each other. They get along. They have fun. We're going, and I've told them, they're well aware of the fact we're going to play the guys that we think at the time are going to help us win. And that's going to vary from sometimes minute to minute, definitely from game to game. And they all want to be on a winning team. That's why they came here.
Back to John and Tony.
Along those lines, Mike Boynton had some pretty nice things to say about Gabe. And I think of Gabe, I know he doesn't probably match style-wise Nate Adrian, but it just seems like whenever he's on the floor, your team's better in the same way it was when Nate was on the floor. Do you see any similarities there in terms of how he leads on the floor, how things work better when he's on the floor, same way with Nate when he was here?
Well, I think the situations were entirely different. Nate played on a heck of a team, and he was terrific in the press. I mean, JC got all the accolades, and probably rightfully so. But Nate was the key to the pressure. What he did over the ball, and the way he understood angles, cutting people off because of an understanding angles, and I think that's an entirely different deal. Gabe is more of a half court guy. If we ask Gabe to go over the ball like Nate did, he might quit,
As he'd be out of the game in about 2 minutes.
That'd be way too much running for him.
Yeah. But I think of the passing too. Gabe's probably one of your better passers to be. And Nate was a good passer too. I think offensively, I'm just thinking of just the way things seem to work better when Gabe's out there.
John, that's what I admire about you. You see only the good and none of the bad. You've probably, to this point in the season, you've probably missed about 43 bad passes.
I got you. I think that backdoor pass he made pretty nice for the dunk.
Well, I mean, he can pass. He sometimes, Gabe because of his desire to win and because of the fact that he likes to make things happen, he takes some chances that obviously we wish he wouldn't take.
Yeah.
And getting in foul trouble is at the top of that list. So I would just assume he's, say he's tired, come over, sit down, tell me when he's ready to go back in and go back in.
Yeah.
Then chop someone's arm off, and then come and sit down.
Coach Huggins, we'll go back to Bob Hartzell.
Yeah, Robin, we'll go back to the building again. When you go in there, you go in there once a year for sure. What do you have to tell your team? Do you tell your team anything? Do you think they know anything about the history? Do you think they know who Fog Allen is or any of that?
I don't think they have a clue who Fog Allen is.
They're in a fog, huh?
I think the only thing they know about Allen Fieldhouse is what they see on TV. know, and what commentators on TV, I guess, say about it. I mean, even if they're paying attention to that, I'm not sure they're paying attention to that. We just need to go in and play. I don't think the field house has ever beat us.
Students,
Hmm?
have the students?
No, I don't think the students have either. I mean, I don't want to, I don't really want to go a whole lot further down that road because you've been around long enough to have an understanding.
Greg Hunter.
Bob, in the in the off season, you talked a lot about improving your rim protection, and that was part of what you did in the transfer, in grabbing the transfers. You're averaging about twice as many blocks this year as you did last. So, have you gotten what you wanted in that area? Are you much better at rim protection?
Yeah, I think we are. I think I don't know much better, but certainly we are better. You know, Derek was a pretty good rim protector in his own right. But that's one guy. I mean, we have more guys now. We have more guys that can and do influence shots. And that, without a question, was what we thought was a need. And the first guy that we went to get was DC. I mean, after all, he was the leading shot blocker in the country. I think everybody finds it out when they come here, and the schedule that we play, it's a little bit different than what they were doing. You know, it's a whole lot different when you got guys attacking the rim. It's you know, they got above their armpit at the rim. It's a whole lot different. And timing's important, and the whole thing. DC's done a really good job. He's made big plays for us, at Connecticut game. Paulie's made big plays for us. Those two guys in particular are guys that are very adept at changing around the rim, and that's what they hang their hat on, quite frankly. Neither one of them hang their hat on being a three-point shooter. That's what they do. Kind of like Sags, you know, when we had Sags didn't shoot threes, but he was pretty damn good at what he did.
John Antoni.
Yeah, I have one more here. In your opinion, what does Kansas do best this year?
Score. They can shoot the ball. They can shoot the ball, and they can, if somebody's having a bad day, they can go to the bench and bring in a guy who's not just had a good game, you know, a game or two before, but has had a good career.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a lot of guys can make shots. A lot of guys who historically have made shots and made big shots.
So typical Kansas.
I think they probably got more guys that can make shots. I don't think they have more guys who can score.
Okay.
But they have more shot makers.
Okay.
Greg Carey.
I'm just curious your thoughts on this next kind of 3 to 4 game stretch. Is it about as tough as imaginable and about as tough as you've ever had?
I really haven't thought about it. Our focus has been on Kansas. We'll deal with whomever is next. I think it's Baylor, but I'm not positive. You know, there's that old adage about one game at a time. I'm not big on adages, as you know, but I mean, I think you have to take care of your business at hand. I think when you start worrying about business down the road, you generally don't do a very good job in what you're doing at the time.
Justin Jackson.
Coach, I'm just kind of interested in, you know, your matchups of the guards here. Obviously, Taz and Abaji, Braun, and Sean. You know, normally you can kind of go into a game and maybe take your best offensive guy and kind of, you know, hide them and, and keep them out of foul trouble. How much of a difficult task is that in a game like this when, you're looking at 2 or 3 different guys out there on the perimeter who can score for them?
But Justin, we really haven't done that all year. Taz plays with, I think, a great deal of intelligence. I think Sean plays with a great deal of intelligence. They don't do dumb things.
Right.
Now we have other guys who make up for it. But they generally speaking don't do dumb things. So it's not as big a question of who do we put them on because they're going to foul out or anything like that, because they know what they have to do.
Any other further questions for Coach Huggins? That's it for today, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Coach.